then you're going to be eating. So if you go and you're already hungry, then you're going to be hungrier by the time you're actually like serving the meal, right? And so then you're really, your blood sugar's dropping, and then you're really going to overeat for most people. All right. So the next tip is, guys, to take it slow and eat slow. Give yourself time to start kind of digesting the food. And it really takes about 20 minutes before our brain and stomach connection kind of make that connection. Hey, Kevin, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you being here. So you want to take it slow and give yourself time to start feeling full. All right. Because what happens is we eat that first serving, and let me know if you're guilty of this, because I know I am. I've done this. Okay, you're having lunch? Okay, great. I know this is early for me, but I wanted to come on real quick. I was trying to do Facebook, but I'm just going to do that separate. That didn't work out. So anyway, but it takes about 20 minutes, okay? And so give yourself time before you go back for seconds is what I'm saying. So maybe you finish your plate, sit around a little bit, have some conversation, eat slower in the first place, finish your plate if you're finishing it, okay? Don't feel like you always have to eat everything on the plate. And then give yourself a little bit of time to digest and see how hungry you still are. Because a lot of times we go back for seconds and we go back too soon. And we're really not even still hungry, but we haven't made that connection in our brain. And so we think that we're still hungry. And then we go back and eat. And then we end up overeating, okay, because we're eating too fast. And it's real common to eat fast because the food is good. A lot of it's food that we only have one time a year or 2 times a year, what have you. And so, guys, I mean, there's no judgment here. It's just, again, it's one day, okay? So we want to make sure just for that one day that we're having some discipline around that meal and not carrying that meal over into the next day and the next day and the next day, okay? So that's where if you have leftovers, you want to make sure you get rid of those pretty quick, okay? And so hopefully you want, maybe you won't have a lot of leftovers, and that's even better, right? Because if you still have that leftover Halloween candy, then you are in bad trouble with me right now. You got to get rid of that because that's been 13 days now, right? So, but sometimes that happens. Okay. Another tip, guys, is to use a smaller plate. If you're at a party, and they have just the little snack plates, try to use a smaller plate and then fill it up with just kind of, a variety of things. And the smaller plate gives you the sensation that you have more food on your plate. Okay. So it makes it appear as though you have more food on your plate even when you really don't. But if you had that same amount of food on a large plate, you would be like, oh, I don't have anything. I need to get more food. So again, just trying to use a smaller plate because visually you'll feel like you're getting more, and it can hopefully help you to avoid eating too much, okay? You still have candy corn from Halloween. Okay, Kevin, I highly recommend that you get rid of that or throw it in the trash, okay? So I'm proud of you for acknowledging that because a lot of people wouldn't even want to admit that they still have Halloween candy around, especially when I'm on here really preaching about that. So somehow get rid of that, and that doesn't mean eat it all right now so that it's gone, but really just, maybe give it to somebody, and maybe you have to throw it in your trash. And hey, you know what? Don't feel guilty about that because that's a lot of sugar, and so we've talked about sugar and all the consequences of sugar on your body, so I wouldn't feel bad about throwing that away, okay? So another tip, guys, if you're going to, a big meal, where there's kind of serve yourself or buffet style or whatever, what I encourage you to do is look around and see what's available first, okay? Because a lot of times at some of these get-togethers, there's way too much food, and if you go around and kind of look and see what's available first, then it will help you to be able to make choices like, oh, okay, I want this, and I may not have that. You know what I mean? So if we're going down a line where there's just food, we're tempted to get, oh, this looks good. Oh, yeah, this looks good too. And then we get down towards the end and we're still getting some of everything because it all looks good, but we didn't know that something better that we like is like down on the end. And maybe you wouldn't have gotten that third item that you got or that casserole that you got. So again, if you get the opportunity, kind of look over, decide what looks good, what you think you might want to eat, and then pick kind of a selection, and don't feel like you have to get some of everything. Now, if you do want to get some of everything, make it a small portion, okay? Because your portions, when you're at a big buffet type thing where you have so many varieties of food, have to be smaller, okay? Or you will definitely end up overeating, all right? So it's not like, maybe you're going somewhere where they're going to have one casserole, some green beans, turkey and dressing, and a dessert, and cranberry sauce, and maybe that's it. But a lot of times we go to places where there's like 15 items, especially if you're having a big family get together or something where everybody's bringing something. So that is a way to kind of cut back on maybe overeating by knowing what's available first and picking what you like best. All right. Another tip is to try to fill up on protein and fiber. So look for things that are high in protein. Turkey is great. Turkey is great. Go a little easier on the dressing, go a little easier on the casseroles, but maybe there's a salad there. Maybe there's some other, broccoli type dish or something that's going to give you some fiber. Maybe there's some fruit dessert, something that's going to give you fiber and some protein, and try to fill up on that versus your other high calorie casseroles and desserts and breads, okay? So that's something that you need to be aware of, and kind of limit yourself with the sweets and the refined breads and any of the processed foods that are there. So try to kind of limit those. It's not that you can't have them at all. Again, I'll be having a piece of pie, but it'll probably be a smaller piece because typically there's 3 or 4 pies available. And so I can't, even if I want to have a sample, then it would have to be 2 small slices of maybe 1 slice of this pie and 1 small slice of this pie. It can't be 2 full slices because then that's, you're overdoing it. So it's just the nature of the holiday season, guys. It's a social time, and there's so much food around, so we just have to be aware and be prepared now. Another tip you always hear me saying is exercise. So exercise before you go. Get your metabolism kind of revved up. Help your body to start burning more calories. Exercise is something I encourage you guys to do every day. But again, specifically even on that day that you're going to these parties or you're going to an event or on Thanksgiving Day, try to get out there and get some walking in, get some movement in, okay, before you go to that meal, and then have your little snack, and then you go to the meal. All right. Next thing is, if you guys are supposed to be taking something, you take something healthy. And if they ask you to bring something unhealthy, say, I want to bring something healthy. Or just try to encourage it. It's like, hey, look, I really want to make sure that I have this to eat, so I'm going to bring, a fruit tray instead of the pie. And I know Joshua was on here earlier saying that he was making a pie. So I understand that. But again, make sure that, if you have an opportunity, make a low-fat, low-calorie casserole. Find ways to lighten up your dishes if you are taking something like that. If you have an opportunity to bring a fruit tray, a veggie tray, then do that. A veggie tray with some hummus. A fruit tray or something like that. And so that you're at least bringing something that's healthy, so there's going to be something there that's high fiber and, low calorie, and, maybe, like I said, the fruit, a healthy dessert, okay, and giving you some natural sugar versus eating too much pie. And then that way you can have maybe a little bit of pie, but also have some fruit. So there's ways to still enjoy the food, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but we just want to think about ways that we can make sure we're not just overloading on calories, guys, because the average person can get way too many calories just in even one meal on Thanksgiving. And I'll look that up later because there's some statistics on how many calories, and I can't remember how many it is, that the average person eats on like Thanksgiving Day and stuff like that. So I want to make sure, let me delete this, delete from page. I have to not do Facebook at the same time and figure that out. Okay, so, and then the last tip I have for right now, guys, is, of course, drink a lot of water. You always hear me saying that, Kevin. I know you hear me saying that a lot. And watch the alcohol. So if they're serving alcohol where you're going to be, whether it's at a party, at home. I mean, some people have wine with their Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. And then if you're at a Christmas party or something, you might have alcohol too. Just, limit yourself to one drink or none. And because when we do drink alcohol, first of all, it kind of lowers our inhibitions and we're more likely to maybe eat more. And then also we're likely to eat more later because that we had the alcohol and now we want some food. Okay, so just make sure that if you do drink a glass of alcohol that you're making sure calorie consumption is unlimited during Thanksgiving. Exactly. So if you are having an alcoholic drink, just make sure that it is that you're having some water after that. So you have your drink and then you have a big glass of water, and then try to just limit it to one and take it slow, kind of sip on it, and don't overindulge on the alcohol, because that's just going to really blow everything. Okay, and I'll be doing a broadcast later as we go on throughout the holiday season about alcohol and the calories in some of your favorite alcoholic drinks if you drink alcohol, because all the alcohol just turns to sugar in your body. So, it can be very caloric and cause people to really gain weight or retain weight and what have you. So, guys, that is several tips. I hope that this helped. I think I gave like 8 or so tips here, maybe even 9. So hopefully this helped you guys. And, remember, you can still enjoy things, but we've got to have some discipline. We've got to have some limitations for ourselves. We've got to practice willpower, guys, and willpower is a muscle. So I encourage you guys to start practicing your willpower.